Noemen ze het ook alweer? Galgenmaal?
De laatste maal voordat je galgenmaal.
We have the galgenmaal. I will translate that later down below. And we chose for poffertjes. Famous Dutch poffertjes. So we have melted butter that you put over it. We call it poffertjes. It's basically, well, what it is, poffertjes. It's a children's menu. And that's what we are, children. Stay curious. Is wat? Oh ja. Lekker. Ons galgenmaal. Welcome back, boys and girls, in a somewhat cold Wind Rose. Raining cats and dogs outside again. Another week, it's still the same weather. But we were at Texel. We made it after a brilliant sail. You could have seen that in the last vlog. And now it was time to start the holiday. And the first thing I did was say goodbye to my dear friend Jacco. And on that bombshell, Jacco leaves again. With the Texel hopper. So as you know, the weather was quite stormy-ish, 5-6-ish, and yeah, what do you do if you're all by yourself? Well, go to the pier, look out over the open seas, and then go for a walk. Long walks make hungry. So cooking from the Kombuis cookbook, and today we're gonna do kokos, kikkerert and bloemkool curry. So this is the flour kool, kokos milk and chickpeas with some noodles. Looking good. Now it needs to pruttle, but pruttle is not working if it's not hot enough. So I don't know what about you. This looks pretty dang spiffy to me. A very good recipe. Very tasteful. Really good. It's a bit unhandy in the cooking pan because of all the water and the coconut stuff. but it's a really tasty dish. Quite spicy. I like it. Very good. After another tasty meal, it was time for another walk, where you could actually nicely see how the boat was parked when we got there, because it was parked a little bit in the middle between the mega yachts. That was the only space available. The harbors tend to be quite full, so the next day I had to move it around, and we moved it to the more normal area where the boats of this size are. That was actually nice because the berth also allowed me a normal get on and get off, and not so a busy part of the Yeti. So for the dog and for Sasha that was actually more convenient. And having the boat in the right spot, it left time to do some more walking, mostly in the harbor area, but also start working on the planning for my trip that I wanted to make to Vlieland. Making another meal from the big recipe book. This time we're eating cod with chorizo, stew and chickpeas, except for the fact that we don't have cod and chickpeas. So we're making a chorizo stew with everything except for the both stew, and I am very curious what's going to happen. So while the stew is on the stove, it is time to reveal the big master plan for tomorrow. I want to go from Ouderschild all the way to East Vlieland, but as you might know from previous episodes, this area actually runs dry in a lot of the spaces. So what you're looking at here is currents, rather precise currents in hourly fashion. So with that I made a plan how to get there, and I just wanted to walk through the steps with you, and then afterwards we will find out if that actually works. So the point is, I need to be at the shallowest part, which is around here, which is 0.2 meters, 1 hour after high water Harlingen, because then this is the deepest part that it actually gets, which will be roughly about, that's actually a good question, I didn't check that, but I think 2 meters. So let me look that up. First point to do. So what I said is, if I want to be there an hour after high water, that in this case would be tomorrow 10:50. Now I don't want to get there at 10:50, because if I run aground, obviously I want to get more height so I could actually come loose and go back or continue. So I said let's be there 2 hours before 10:50, which is 8:50. But I am not here, I'm sort of around the cornerish, and I want to go via the Inschot here, and that means that will be 15 miles to get there, with another 3 miles to get to this point, which makes 18 miles. So looking at my average boat speed, which is about 5 knots, I would say that would take about 4 hours. Better earlier than later, but that will be without the current. So it will mean, and by the way, I would had to leave at 10 to 5 in the morning. So looking at the current, I looked at 5 hours and 4 hours before. You can say that I would be averaging a 1.5 current. So I said, well, let's say I would have 3 hours, 1 knot, I would get 3 miles for free. Basically meaning this reduces from 18 to 15, basically meaning I would need 3 hours to get there. So 9:50 high water Harlingen minus 3 is 6:50. I would have to leave, and then it should be okay. Which is interesting, because here it said 9:50 plus 1 hour is 10:50. but I now want to be there at 8:50. So I don't want to be there at 9:50, I want to be there at 8:50, which means 5:50 leaving. Oh my lord. That is very early. Well, let's see. Even if you think you've planned it all, there might be another plan planned. Explained in a video my cunning plan, and I looked at the maps once more, and I found there is a bit of a glitch in the matrix. Because I had not noticed the high water marks here and here and here, which is 1 hour before, and here where it is actually high water Harlingen, but that already is crossed this point, and that would mean that it is 1 hour earlier, even half an hour I would almost say, high water at that point. So instead of 1 hour after high water Harlingen, where there is no current, but it is not the highest point, because that will be high water. So that will mean, in all honesty, that I should not leave at 5:50, but at 4:03. Really early. I don't think I'm gonna do that. I don't feel I'm up to doing that. That does not make a lot of sense to leave at 3:30. That actually highlights a little bit of a red thread that is appearing, and that is the fact that if you don't have a proper weather window, or in this case water depth level, water current weather window, to make it complex, you have to get out of bed at really weird times. Normally I wouldn't say it's a problem, but if you're also trying to have a holiday, then there is a little bit of a conflict. But what do you do first before you actually take a decision? Correct, you eat. Wow, this is that wirklich gut. Sehr schön. Chorizo auch. Dicke 8+. So after a good night's sleep, in the end I decided not to get up at 3:30 in the morning. And what do you do if you're not sailing? Well, walking. And in this particular case it was quite nice, because I did discover when sailing that I really like landmarks, and I knew there was one that I could just walk to. So today is a good day because I didn't go sailing. That might sound weird, but it basically means that I'm confident in the sailing, I know how to do it. And I just want some time to contemplate. So normally I'm always doing something, and this time I thought let's do nothing. So I went walking and I planned the trip for coming Sunday. And this time I rethought everything, I looked everything up twice again, and it actually should be better. Anyway, so far for planning, it was time that Sasha would be joining, and obviously when she's there with the dog, what do? Walking. and as said before, I kind of like these landmarks, and there's another one that's really famous. It's called the Baldaris on Texel, and we kind of ran right into it and climbed up to it, which was really cool. Somebody shot a hole in the tower they built it. All around it. So after yet more walking and climbing, it was time for a bite or two and some chilling and relaxing. And some chilling and relaxing while doing the cruiser life jobs. So while the washing machine was working my laundry, I had some time to discuss my plans to Vlieland with Rix and Tijl, my neighbors in the jetty, in the marina. Everything looked quite well. I think we ran through the whole current and depth situation again, and it all looked good. After another meal, actually it was time in the morning to find out that the weather forecast did not really stay the same during the night, which was possibly to do with the fact that it was a bit of a high pressure area. It is about a quarter to annoying. 8, 8:30. I was up at 6 this morning because I intended to depart, but when I looked at the map, it showed 3 to 4 before, and then from 2 onwards to about 5, 3, 4 to 5 before. A lot of rain almost all day, bad visibility and a southwesterly wind, which basically means there will be blown out additional water of the Waddenzee, so to say, from the anchorage, where there already was only around 1.5 meters, and I don't want to lay bumping around on a zandplaat there. So the whole combination made me decide to not go. Let's stay home, stay here in Texel for another day. And yeah, you can have an opinion about it. I have an opinion about it. It does not necessarily feel really good, but it does feel good to make a decision that is in a way prudent. All the things I learned is that you get into trouble if you overestimate your capabilities, and I tend to underestimate it, so I feel always in control. But with a 4-5 on an area where there is not a lot of water, I just don't feel confident, so I'm not going to do it. another day, another walk, and I decided to make it easy on myself.
I'm gonna go to the IJsselmeer, where I don't have to watch the tide all the time, and where I can just play around. And the wind is the only factor I need to pay attention to. Be on the IJsselmeer, sail, go out sailing easily. I'm in the marina that has a lot of space there, so I think I will be very good for me. So I can go out easy, I can go for a sail, I can come back. I don't have the issues with the marina, I don't have the issues with anything. I can just do whatever I want. I will find a box with nobody around me, and I can go anchoring if I want. So yeah, feeling confident about that decision. And maybe the decision of today, the weather situation, which obviously is not something I can control. I just have a principle rule: if there is 6 in the charts, I don't think I should be going out on my own, especially not on such a complicated sail. So I didn't go out because there was a 6 in the charts, and it blew 6 today. So I'm happy with my decision, and I think it apparently is supposed to be like it is. So I will be on the IJsselmeer for a week, where I can do a lot of sailing. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna contemplate more while sailing on what I need to do.
So a sailing holiday is also a lot of planning and adjusting the plan. I think I learned that by now. But in the end, I know, because I can look in hindsight now, that I made the right decision, because after this comes more sailing and easier sailing time-wise. So if you're curious how that goes, I would say hit subscribe. If you've liked it, leave a like, and if you have an opinion, leave a comment. Love to read it. Next week, sailing back to Amsterdam. Hope to see you. Cheers, boys and girls.
Actually quite positive that I'm sort of fed up with the harbour in Texel. It has nothing to do with the harbour in Texel, just I've been